Good evening, welcome to the second vlog of CopaLoadofRacing. This week we'll be looking at the racing at Newbury, as well as Warwick and Lingfield tomorrow. The action there will be look over a few of the major races there. Also look at Ayr on Sunday. There's a card there, and we'll also have a wee look at some of the news in the racing world over the past week. So plenty to get stuck into this weekend, so let's get started with that. Well, we enjoy, recommend it, a lovely bottle of Weiss beer, Erdinger, which is my tipple of choice. It has been for a long time, anybody that knows me, but it's top stuff there. So if I have a wee sip of it during the vlog, then please excuse me. It's been a long week. Right, let's start off with a couple of things I've picked out up from the news. Looking at the Dublin festival last weekend, we gave it a preview in last weekend's vlog. Rich Ritchie and Willie Mullins, obviously the biggest disappointment I think of the whole weekend in terms of equine superstars was Faugheen failing to light up the festival as what was hoped. I think Rich Ritchie had said that there was a big crowd in at Leopardstown on Sunday, hoping to see Faugheen, win that Unibet champion hurdle, Irish champion hurdle, on, I think it was actually Saturday, wasn't it, the Irish champion hurdle. Anyway, Faugheen failed. He was beat by Super Sunday, Jessica Harrington's horse, and it looked to be going well. I think Willie Mullins has said that, and so has Rich Ritchie, that they felt the horse travelled well into the race. There didn't seem to be any issues, but it was when they were coming to the last, I think Willie Mullins knew the writing was on the wall, and that Faugheen wasn't going to get that much needed victory going into the champion hurdle at the festival next month. It leaves big question marks, obviously. Bouvier is still the outstanding favourite for that race, of course. And there was nothing that you seen at the weekend, last weekend there, to suggest that Faugheen has that, the ability to take the champion's title away from Bouvier. I think Willie Mullins was hopeful that he was back to somewhat near his best, but he admits there's still a long way to go if he's to get anywhere near what he'd shown previously when he was the champion hurdler a few years back. It's disappointing. It's not to say that that's it. There's a lot there still to work with. It's just whether Faugheen can actually produce that again, and I think there's a lot of doubters out there, obviously, to suggest that he won't. So that was a major disappointment. Personally, I wouldn't rule out anything happening at Cheltenham. Willie Mullins has a magnificent record of getting horses just perfect come March. But I think he knows he's got a big job on his hands with Faugheen, and it'll be interesting to see what the plans are. Super Sunday, great effort there, and it was a good run by Super Sunday. Now, Jessica Harrington at this stage, I think initially had ruled out supplementing Super Sunday for the champion hurdle. She's kind of suggested that she may change her mind, but we'll wait and see what happens with that going forward. Another disappointment obviously was York Hill in the Dublin steeplechase, beaten by stablemate Min, who won the race. York Hill, another horse that you're scratching your head at the moment, wondering what next to do with York Hill. So that's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that. It was a mixed bag for Willie Mullins. There was some good performances in there. I think that also Footpad had showed a real talent again over fences. Absolutely just looks like a stag jumping the fences at the moment. Petit Mouchoir put in a decent performance, didn't start off too well, but a lot there to work with, and I think the connections with that are still pretty hopeful that come festival time that Petit Mouchoir could still put up a good performance there. One other thing, there was a wee bit of issues. Some of the betting patterns looked in there. Mellons and York Hill drifting in that race. There's a few issues that are having to be looked at there in Ireland about the betting patterns there, so a lot more to come of that, I would imagine. But overall, I think a great success the Dublin Festival has been. I remember I read something on Twitter, someone saying about it's not all about Cheltenham, the National Hunt Festival, National Hunt season, and I completely concur with that. I can get what Cheltenham's all about. It's a magnificent spectacle, but right from October, when the National Hunt season gets underway, we're constantly talking about the festival. Everything's targeted for it, and I can understand to a certain extent why. But something like this festival itself, standing alone, I think will get stronger and stronger as the years go on. Irish racing over the past 15 years, National Hunt wise, has got really strong. I think we all agree to that. It's no more when you look at the festival 15, 20 years ago that there was a couple of Irish raiders that you watched. Now nearly every race you're looking at Irish raiders, even in the handicaps, to see how well they've been, what mark they've been given into the race. So there's this festival, I think, will just get stronger. You look at the powerhouses over in Ireland in terms of ownership, but also, and there's not just Willie Mullins, Jessica Harrington, but Gordon Elliott as well. Joseph O'Brien is going to hopefully get stronger as time goes on as well. So that festival, I think, is just going to get even stronger, and some of the British horses may start to look at that festival and start to think, well, I know it is quite close, but the money that's going to be up for grabs is something that you can't turn your nose up to, and a lot of the Irish runners are going to run it at Cheltenham anyway. So it was a pretty good success, I have to say. And speaking about Irish racing, this week it was announced that Irish racing, which is currently screened on ATR at the races, is from January 2019 next year. It will be broadcast on Racing UK. And there's been a mixed response to it. In fact, a lot of the responses I've read have been pretty scornful, to say the least, about the fact that ATR are losing the rights to it. Personally, I've become more and more of a fan of Racing UK over the years. I think initially I felt, being a subscriber, I was a little bit peeved at what I was paying out for. Live coverage, great. Racing replay I can accept, but I can have the facility to record it, I have the facility to go onto my laptop and watch it. Races that I want to pick out and look at, pick out in form and so on and so forth, and it's great for doing my vlog in that respect as well. But I think it's good that over the past year or so they've started to add further programming. Luck on Sunday is a big success as far as I'm concerned, and it's free to view. You have Racing Live. You've also got some more foreign racing coming on, Hong Kong racing. There's a lot of French coverage as well being picked up. There's the Mark Your Card on a Saturday. So that's could there be more? Yes, I would love there to be more. As a big racing fan, I would watch a lot more of it, without a doubt. But I do like the more interactive shows that they have, like even when they do Kempton during the week, they have a lot of, email in, give your thoughts about it. It'd be good if they have a lot more good. I remember they've had people like Charlie Fellows on, trainers on, that you can send in questions to ask them about things, and a lot of them are very open as to have a chat with it. James Willoughby's brilliant on it with his insightful thoughts about the game and really getting detailed in. And the other big advantage, I think, as well, and I know ATR show it as well, but I think their coverage of Maidan is really superb. The analysis that Angus McNay, Rishi, Prasad and Tom Stanley provide is fantastic. So it's a big step forward. I think they're going to rebrand, obviously calling it Racing UK when they've got all Irish racing on it as well. So that's going to be rebranded, I would assume. My concerns would be that at the moment they're still saying that they're going to stick to one channel, so everything's going to be broadcast there. And we know in the summer, particularly when there's a lot of racing on, You're jumping from one race to the next. Now, it depends how you want to watch the race and whether you want it to be analysed after it and you want to prep into it, or whether you have already prepped for the racing. You know, you've made your choices, you've picked your horses, you just want to see the race now. That following on race after race after race, you're happy with that. There are others that want you to see a review. I want to see that race again. What happened there? You know, why did the jockey not get a gap up the rail? I want to see the head on in that, but sometimes you can't. You'll need to wait to race and replay. They have got Racing UK Extra, which allows you to do that online now from each of the tracks that they broadcast from, and they'll continue to do that. I think further down the line you will find that they will add a second channel. There's no indications that they're not saying that they will at the moment, but I think that they'll, in time they will. I think, as I say, I think Racing UK is improving. I've never been the greatest fan of ATR. I think there's a lot of adverts. I think some of it works. I think, and that's why the likes of Jason Weaver, Matt Chapman and Luke have all moved on to ITV Racing. I think their Friday night shows and things have been a big success. They give it maybe is much more appealing to the wider racing public, whereas Racing UK, with it being a subscription based channel, it's focused at really big racing fans, and I think there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what it's there for. They don't need to tell us what a furlong pole is. We know what it is because we're racing fans. I'm not saying ATR do that, but that's why I like the detailed analysis that you get on our UK. But it'll be interesting. I think what that leaves a question mark for ATR. They've lost Chelmsford City as well. Chelmsford's going to go to Racing UK as of the January 2019 as well. We've already seen like Taunton, Leicester move over to our UK, and it seems to be dripping down, and you wonder, you know, Ascot went to our UK as well. You just think, what's the future going to hold for the other racing, the racetracks, race courses, like big courses like Newcastle and Doncaster. We'll be looking and thinking, right, I know they're all coming under the one ownership, but there'll be a few people questioning that, I would imagine. Anyway, let's go on to tomorrow's racing. We spent a lot there on the old racing news and giving my views, so let's get down to it. Last week's tips, well, it was a little bit of a mixed bag, I have to say. Some poor performances, I admit, but let's see if we can get any winners for this weekend. Starting off at Newbury for their big meeting, which includes the Denman Chase and the Game Spirit. I think the covers are going down tonight at Newbury. Expected it to be cold tonight down there in Berkshire, so it'll be interesting to see how cold it gets, and hopefully everything's okay for tomorrow's meeting. There's two races that stick out, and two horses particularly that stick out that to perform in tomorrow, but we'll get to them. We'll go with the 150 first of all, the Betfair Cash Out Handicap Hurdle over the extended 3 miles. It's a poser, this race. Barters Hill's in there, and currently I think it's around about 4 to 1 for Darryl Jacobs and Ben Pauling, the trainer. My choice actually is you've got a lot of horses here, like King Barters Hill pulled up last time out. You've got also in the betting Lockdick Farmer, who was also pulled up last time out at Ascot in the betting. You've got Bastion for Alan King. He's currently around about 7 to 1, and Bastion, that fell last time out. So you've got 3 of the 4 prominent in the market. I've got something to prove after disappointing runs, and they're pulling up or falling. So that it's going to be interesting in that sense. The one that I've picked out is King Uther, who for Chris Gordon and Richard Johnson will be in the saddle. Now, I'm not it won last time out, yes, at Warwick, and I look back over that race today. Tom Cannon was on board that afternoon, and it was only a few weeks ago, in fact, when it won there over a similar distance to today. Looks a big chasing type, to be honest, but crashed through a few hurdles, I have to say. So jumping, I think, has to improve. I don't think it has to improve. It definitely has to improve for this race. Won't mind the ground, and you know, it won pretty well, I felt, having earlier in the season at Lingfield. So, well, sorry, no, at back end of last season it won at Lingfield. So it's been progressively stepping up in trip, and actually this is a couple of furlongs shorter than what it won at Warwick. So I just fancy it. It's currently around about 11 to 2. You can get, that's with Bet Victor at the moment, I think. So might have changed since I've looked at the betting earlier today. But I think King Uther is worth a bit of few bob there in a race where I think a lot of horses have got something to prove here. They may have form in the book previously to it. Barters Hill had won obviously at Newbury previously back in 2015. You have to go back to winning there. Won at Donny in this time last year, I think it was. So I still think that horses like that have got a bit to prove. Lockdale Farmer, as I say, with that run at Ascot, having previously won at Fossilaz, I think it was. So yeah, issues there, holes in it. But I'll go for King Uther in that one. Right, going to look at the Betfair Denman Chase and also the Betfair Exchange Chase, the Game Spirit, formerly known as. Now there's two horses here that are coming back from a long time off the track to a certain extent, and they're both odds on going into each respective race. You have Native River, who was third, of course, in the last time out in the Gold Cup, which isn't bad form at all, obviously. It went off joint favourite that day, remember, if you do remember. But obviously it's a course and distance winner. It's won this race previously. And in both these races, they're only taking on two rivals. The other one in the Game Spirit is Altior, that's coming back, having been off the track since winning at Sandown back in April. So they're on a bit of a recovery mission. Nicky Henderson for Altior says it's all about the Queen Mother chase, really, and you know, that's what they're prepping for. So whatever happens at Newbury tomorrow is a prep towards that. And the same for Native River. Obviously a lot will ride on how well it runs tomorrow and how that will be viewed in the markets towards the Gold Cup, which is kind of opening up to a certain extent. It's there for the taking this year for a lot. So if Native River puts in a blinding performance for Colin Tizard, then they'll be really boosted. But having ran pretty well last time at Cheltenham in the Gold Cup, they would fancy their chances getting into that. But it's not as simple as that. And the fact that they're both odds on, if you were asked me, right, out of the two of them, who would you say? I would definitely say Altior if it was to be anywhere near as good as it was. And you're thinking about Nicky Henderson and what he did with the likes of Sprinter Sacra previously, and you know, if that can, but it's a hell of a long layoff. There's no doubt about that, and I think that's well publicised. But going back to the Denman Chase and looking at Native River, the two rivals he has are pretty good. Cloudy Dream, who finished second in last year's Arkle, actually had a bet in him without Altior in that race, and was delighted to see him finish behind Altior. And you also have Safford de Roux for Paul Nicholls. Now, Cloudy Dream, last time we've seen him was in December at Aintree, when he finished behind Definitely Red, who's obviously been on and won the Cotswold Chase a couple of weeks ago. Previous to that, he had finished behind Fox Norton at Cheltenham. Fox Norton finished behind Political, didn't he, at Sandown as well earlier this season. So Cloudy Dream obviously stepped up in trip and since the Arkle, and there's obviously a poignancy about this with Malcolm Jefferson sadly passing away only 10 days ago or so, if that, as long as that's sad. Sorry, it's just last week actually. So you know, there would be a lot of tears if Cloudy Dream actually managed to go out and win this Grade 2 prize tomorrow. And I've got a bit of a soft spot for the horse, Northern Raider. I've always, you know, you always have a wee soft spot if one of them goes down to the likes of one of the southern tracks like Newbury and picks up a big prize. So, you know, it's a small field. I always feel he kind of runs well in a small field, Cloudy Dream. His last victory came at Ayr, back at the Scottish Grand National meeting. And, you know, since then, as I say, they have tried him out over 3 miles, the extended 3 miles at Aintree. Wasn't disgraced behind Definitely Red, as I say, but they're stepping him back down to 2, just shy of the 3 miles in this race. It's a flat track. Newbury, it's a fair course. Always, I think it's probably one of the most fairest courses in the UK. And I just think Cloudy Dream could give Native River a real race here. Safford Daru as well. Safford Daru's got plenty of petrol in the tank. Fell in the Grand National last time out, so it's had another one that's had a bit of a break. We've not seen him since Aintree. Prior to that, finished a good 5th in the Gold Cup at Cheltenham, obviously. Had won at Kelso prior to that. So Safford Daru is at 92, so obviously the bookies are aware of the fact that horse has got a hell of a chance as well. So it's a pretty wide open race, I think. If Native River is as good as what he can be, and he will win, that's why he's 65 on. But like we were saying last week with the likes of Faheen, with the likes of York Hill, a lot of these short priced favourites, even at Musselburgh when you were watching, if you watched the coverage at Musselburgh on Sunday, there was a couple of short price favourites. Okay, they were novices, and that can happen in that field, but some of them were beaten. And I'm not an odds-on man, definitely not. And I think that Cloudy Dream, if I was to pick one of the 3, I think Cloudy Dream has a hell of a chance in that race. And at 5-2, might be worth a wee nibble at. Going to the Game Spirit race, in terms of rivals, in that one, I think there's 2 good rivals for Native River. In the Game Spirit, I would rule out Valdez for weight Alan King. He's currently 33-1. He's maybe there, pick up the prize money, jump round, see what happens. You never know what can happen in these races. But Politolog is a fantastic rival for Altior here, and I'm really glad that Paul Nicholls has not just said, right, on you go Nicky, you have your run against a couple of long priced horses, and it's just a matter of jumping around and making sure you do it. No, Paul Nicholls has went in there, the sporting man that he is, and laid down a challenge to Altior and said, right, we're going to take you on. Politolog has been busy this season, obviously, winning at Exeter, Sandown, and then winning obviously at the Christmas Festival at Kempton when we last seen him. And he looks like a mighty impressive horse. You know, it kind of springs back memories of one man, but I like this horse a lot, and I think Altior has to be on his game, really does, if he's to win this. And he's currently 74, and I think a lot of people get smashed into that overnight. He's beaten some really good horses. I said Fox Norton earlier on when he beat him at Sandown, so there's form there, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how well he can perform. I was thinking there, if you know what I mean, you look at these last 3 victories, they've all came at the likes of Kempton, Sandown and Exeter, and they're all, you know, you're all travelling right-handed there, aren't you? And at Newbury you're travelling in the left. That might be something, I don't know. It's worth that, maybe that, but as I say, Altior, smashing form. You know, you look back at what he's won, and you think if he's up to that, then there's nothing Politolog would need to improve further to match Altior or to beat him. Has that potential, but if you think Altior needs a run, then Politic Log is very much the value, very much so the value. Right, let's move on to the big sort of betting race of the day, without a doubt. It's the Betfair Hurdle at Newbury, one of the big handicap races of the National Hunt season. Maybe the shine isn't as much on it as what it used to be, but I'll pick out a few when I look at it. You're looking at Irish Row, I think, is a favourite at the moment for Henry Brooks, going to be on that, and you know, Irish Row currently head of the market, as I say, at run about 9 to 1 in there. Lost last time out at Doncaster. Doing a lot of its racing at Donny of late. Seems a bit of a Donny specialist. And I'm one of these guys that looks, okay, it's a favourite, so yeah. Sometimes you can just put a line through it and say, right, I'm no bother because it's a favourite. I want value. I want something more. And 91 is a good price. But that just shows you, you know what I mean. 10 to 1, 11 to 1, 11 to 1, 11 to 1. You're looking at next best. Jenkins is currently at 10s for Nicky Henderson. James Bowen will take a nice £3 off that. I had looked at Kalashnikov, the novice. It's a 5-year-old. And that's been kind of more running in that type of company of late. Was beaten last time out at Sandown, I'm sure it was. And prior to that, had won at Doncaster when it was odds-on favourite. So you could look at that and think, well, yeah, it's got a good Jack Quinlan's on board. That's going to be maybe the angle to look at. The other one that I was kind of thinking about was Lockdale Spirit for Nicky Henderson. Jeremy McGrath's on board that one, and I was wavering as to whether or not to stick my money that way each way. It's currently 14 to 1. Second lap, I watched the race at Wincanton, back again today, and it was well beaten by what was the horse, London Prize. And I actually think it needs a step up and trip. I think it would benefit maybe 2.5. Maybe it's a Coral Cup horse or something to me. It ran, in saying that, I think Nicky put him over 2.5 at the Grand National Festival, and he pulled up over 2.5. I think that might have been in the Aintree Hurdle, in fact. So maybe you could say, well, I didn't see it the 2.5 there. I don't know. Maybe as it's getting older, it just looked like it maybe needed that 2.5. Might be wrong, but I might have read too much into that race. Just maybe he was a bit lazy during the race and he came on finished reasonably strong. I never was going to catch the winner, London Prize. London Prize won it pretty comfortably. So if I have to put my money somewhere, I'll go with Kalashnikov. As my tip. Kalashnikov has a bit of youth on its side, not been pretty busy of late in terms of winning at Wetherby and Doncaster, and then, as I say, coming up short last time out at Sandown. But I think that might be worth a wee nibble at. Stick it even on each way. But yeah, I think it's currently, as I say, 11 to 1. So that might be worth a wee punt on there. Kalashnikov should be up prominent enough. They typically run Lockdale Spirit, as I spoke about. That's usually one of the front runners. It'd be interesting if it wants to make it a test of stamina, then Lockdale Spirit might try and do that, stretch them out, and if it does, then it might work. But it might turn out to be quite tacky ground tomorrow at Newbury if that frost does come, and then it gets in and it makes it sticky, doesn't it? And that's worse actually than ploughing through some of that. Anyway, a wee break first before looking at Warwick. As I say, highly recommend the old Erdinger. Right, moving on. Need to get quickly on here. I've got the time. It's battering on here. Right, let's move on. Warwick. The Mayor's Hurdle listed race. Oh, right, I'm going to pick out here. There was a couple I was looking at. Love's Destination. Didn't really impress at Kempton. Last one was a way back at Fontwell, so I'm kind of not swavering with that one. The one that I was picking out, there was Woolstone one, who won at Donny last time out. But if I was to put my money, maybe forgive its fall at Cheltenham last time out and look at it when it won at Wincanton under Aidan Coleman, and that's Laminver Odyssey. Couldn't even say it there. But Laminver Odyssey, that's my tip in the 205 at Warwick. Looking at the 220, the Kingmaker Novices Chase. Right, North Hill Harvey is here to do battle. That lost last time out at Sandown to Soul Royale, who went on at one at Donny. Some have looked at it, the Arco, but it's the same ownership as Footpad, obviously. But I think it maybe needs more of a test. Maybe step up. I don't know, but it probably will run in the Arco. So North Hill Harvey finished behind Soul Royale. Not too bad a form. Diego Duchamp Mill. I think that's on a recovery mission. Won at Newton Abbott in a 2-horse race back in September. Shantou Flyer beat it when it was odds on. Was it Shantou Flyer that beat him in Newton Abbott? Nah, I'm not having that. Drumcliff is stepping in from handicap victory, and I think it was an amateur race at Ascot a couple of weeks back. And St Calvos is your odds on shot here, having won at Newbury last time out twice. And in that respect, I think it's very difficult to see past St Calvados, and Aidan Coleman takes the ride on that. In the more interesting betting race, I'm going to go with Thomas Crapper in the Warwick Castle handicap chase. Good old Thomas Crapper, who's currently about 6 to 1, I think. Last time we seen Thomas Crapper was at Cheltenham. Was it at Cheltenham? It was, when he unseated back in April. But before that, ran really well at Festival. Finished 4th behind, it was an Irish hot pot, I think. But he ran really well, and he has performed well at Newbury before. Well, this is at Warwick, isn't it? But in a sort of similar track, and flat track, he's won at Newbury. So I think Thomas Crapper's worth a little bit of money in the 315 at Warwick, 6 to 1. He is good campaigner, Thomas Crapper, and we're starting to come into the time of the year, I think, when Thomas Crapper does well. Right, switch to Lingfield, back to the old weather. Kimberella, oh, what did you make of that last week? Oh, I really thought we were on to a winner there with that one, but unlucky. Was Kimberella, is it the night it was running? Or has it run? I don't know, I'll need to check that one. Or is it might be Monday it's running, Kimberella at Wolverhampton. But anyway, here we're going to look at two decent handicaps. The first is a 255, the play for free at sunbets.co.uk/Vegas handicap. Right, I did look at Mr. Scaramanga here first of all. He is a low course and distance winner at Lingfield, but I've actually went with Côte d'Azur, who went over to Otillo, went over to France, and has been doing a bit of running over there with quite varied success actually. But he's back under the back with his trainer. Who is it again? Lazier. And Paul Hannigan's booked back on board. Paul Hannigan was on board Côte d'Azur when it finished third in the Cambridgeshire, behind Dolphin Vista. Was on the far side that day, and Dolphin Vista was on the near side. I don't think there was a lot in terms of whether it was on the near side you wanted to be or whatever, sometimes when you look too much into that. But I think it put up a really, really good performance, and that was followed that up, not with the greatest of runs at York, I admit. I was actually there that day. When I can't remember. There you go. I was actually at that. Was that at that one? Was that the Friday or the Saturday? But anyway, finished 11th of 20. But wee bit of a break. Freshened up over hurdles. In terms of draw, drawn 3 should be fine. And yeah, I think that will be an interesting wee look. Côte d'Azur likes to be ridden near the pace, so you know Paul Hannigan knows that type of thing. As long as it doesn't get lit up, sometimes I think horses can get a bit lit up under Paul when they come out the stalls and he's fighting for the first couple of furlongs to calm them down, and that takes a bit out of them. I seen that, was it the day or yesterday, and he just held on to win. But that sometimes seems to happen for Paul, and I think that's one of his some folk that's critical of him. I'm a fan of Paul Hannigan, but I think there is sometimes that issue that he does have. So Côte d'Azur I'll go for in that one, and in the next race we have, looking at the 5+4, which is the 32red.com handicap, over 6 furlongs, and the horse I've went for is Helvetian there for Mick Channon, drawn inside. Charlie Bishop will be on board, but he's drawn on the inside, likes to be held up as he was when he last won at Kempton, and it was a class 4 he won at Kempton, but he won it really, really well. And he's just maybe in a nice wee rich vein of form at the moment, and I think sometimes with sprinters you've just got to get them at that. And I think, although as I say this is a much more competitive race than what he had at Kempton, you've got some decent horses in here, the likes of Count Otto and Global Academy will certainly be up there. Global Academy you would expect would be trying to take it from the front, but if you just get, the problem is when you're drawing one and you're a hold up horse, if you're stuck to the rail, you're hoping for that gaps, but it's not a massive field, and Charlie Bishop's a good jockey, and I think Helvetian could keep that winning form up, just down to the fact that I think he might just be, and that's why Mick's got him out again, is because he is running really well. Right, in terms of Scottish racing, there's a card at Ayr on Sunday. It's a decent enough card. Hopefully the weather keeps good for it. Finalising obviously the entries at the moment, there's a couple of races that are not really that competitive, but one that I've picked out is the 255, which is the Tote Quad Pot Novices Hurdle. Of course it's caught my Mike Smith's horse Trongate. Now I seen it run a few weeks ago at Ayr in a 3 mile race, and he just didn't get home that day, but was running well, and he's stepping back down into 2 miles, down to 2 miles. D11 is booked on board at the moment, and I think that might just see it through. So if I was to give you a tip, if you're going along Ayr on Sunday, any horse at this stage, Trongate and the 255, I think it will suit the step back and trip, that one. There's also racing at Ayr on Tuesday. I've got another card there as well. Of course it's all jumps racing at the moment in Scotland, so racing at Ayr on Sunday and on Tuesday. Musselburgh, I've got a card on Wednesday, and then one of Kelso's big race meetings of the year is on Thursday, where you could go and see the Moor Battle Hurdle, one of the big races on the card there. Sometimes it's been treated as a bit of a champion hurdle trial down the years, so we'll see over the next couple of days what's been entered into that. So if you're off to any of those fixtures, Musselburgh, Valentine's Day, maybe take your partner for a wee soiree. If you're off to any of those meetings, any meetings across the UK, or if you're sitting at home enjoying the racing, well, I hope you get a few winners, like I do. Let's hope for that tomorrow, fingers crossed. But enjoy your racing, that's the most important thing. CopaLoadofRacing, thanks, see you next week.